Once upon a time, the dream of flying seemed impossible, but thanks to scientific and technical achievements, we can fly all over the world today. In addition, we can enjoy astonishing shows and tricks performed by professional pilots. However, despite the fact that airplanes are recognized as the safest transport in the world, not everything always goes smoothly. In this video, we have collected the most incredible and spectacular moments in aviation. So get comfortable and get ready to be surprised. In a tense fight between helicopter and a wild beast, the victory was taken by the nimble and quirky animal. It is simply incredible how the engine switches from smoke to flame in a matter of seconds. Unfortunately, not every landing of a fighter ends successfully. You can't witness this every day, so now you can enjoy the incredible view of releasing the landing gear of a large Boeing and its subsequent landing. Maybe you didn't know before, but this is what air drift looks like. Helicopters also make emergency landings, and now one of them had to land right on a busy city street. What a rare sight! You can't see it too often in real life. The pilot of the F-16 made some interesting maneuvers in the sky and demonstrated the ability to fire flares. Sometimes the situation can get out of control, even with the most experienced specialists. That's when you have to find a way out. When the fighter was landing, there was a very tense situation for everyone who watched this action. I think people liked it. I'm sure none of you would refuse such a way of relaxation right now. It turns out that playing with various objects in gravity is now available not only to astronauts conquering our cosmic expanses. With such amazing skills as of this pilot in the Alps, do not doubt that you will be evacuated. As you can see, there are other experts in the field of helicopter parking. But if we are talking about truly virtuoso piloting, look at this loop on a helicopter. Have you ever imagined what a modern air carrier would look like? You need to have an amazing imagination to come up with and implement such a takeoff system. The pilot on the F-22 Raptor delighted us by showing what he is capable of in the sky. And the pilot of this T-6 Texan still needs to work a little on the landing technique. What an incredible show from the pilot of the F-14 Tomcat. Now they will need more time to restore this aircraft. The hero of this video was lucky because such an abandoned field was the reason for a soft landing. Now like this video if you would also like to meet such a traveler on the road. Just look at these shots. The pilot has achieved such a level of mastery that he can now float in the air. Now you will see how people create unique shows in the sky. I must admit that there are many unusual things to witness here. When the brakes fail during the flight of an aircraft, it is necessary to invent sophisticated methods for landing it. And it's a real blessing that such a solution was thought up in advance. This is what a landing with poor visibility looks like. However, such weather cannot spoil the overall impression.
40, 30, 20, retard.
Do you agree that this helicopter makes smoke rings better than some hookah masters? Sometimes pilots are forced to land on wide highways, such as in this case from North Carolina. It looks like the F-35 doesn't really care about the laws of physics. The B-52, or Spirit as it is called, is an American strategic bomber known for its invisibility, so it is often used in military operations. Australian firefighters are really inventive. They collected water from a nearby pool to deal with the fire nearby. Such a huge military transport aircraft is capable of carrying hundreds of tons of cargo, and it looks like a parent to most baby planes. This perfect landing prevented the catastrophe and hundreds of deaths. Boeing had to land on a snowy highway because of breakage and weather conditions. And a pilot coped with everything. Passengers gave him an ovation like no one else. You can observe a trial launch of a fighter with a jet engine. This pilot is quite determined and brave as he agreed to test a plane. As you can see, the engine was a failure before its reasonable height. What incidents happened on the tarmac? There's shown on the video how a wheel was burnt out during a Boeing starting. It is interesting whether a flight was cancelled, or is that not such a big deal? You can observe a unique situation. Boeing crashed into a lamppost while rolling back. There is definitely not a plane crash, but it looks ridiculous and funny. In emergency situations, like this fire for example, Avia help is indispensable. Just take a look how this fire was put out within seconds, and horrible forest fire was prevented. A person can change his mind to buy sweets or get married, but I see for the first time that someone has changed his mind to land a plane. It's interesting. What makes a pilot change his decision?
Your first wreck. This guy's gonna wreck.
This Airbus A380 landed as if it happened in a movie. Agree, as a minimum it looks epic, and film shots are definitely worth becoming the end of some blockbuster. To continue movie shots, this Lancer will be engaged in a new episode of Fast and Furious or the next Marvel movie, won't it? It looks quite complicated, but an experienced pilot could land a red helicopter at such a small and narrow place for landing. Yes, that really is what you see. The trailer was shot down with a jet engine of this Boeing. But stay calm, that is not a crass mistake because of which someone suffered. That is a special test engineers hold, so everything is okay and there are no victims. There is nothing terrible in such shots. I just want to show you how synchronously Belgian soldiers run their fighters in practice. It looks so beautiful, and it seems they needed several years of persistent training. There are unique shots of a rescue operation of a climber from the very top of the mountain. At times like this, you want to thank everyone who is involved in the creation and development of air transport. As you can see, it helps to save thousands of lives and take out people from places which are difficult to reach. That is the situation when you could not brake in time and a plane moved further. This poor crossing guard just buckled down as such a situation happened with him for the first time. Probably such words as to save a biplane by all means were in mind of a pilot who did not capitulate from an inflamed plane and made everything possible to land it with minimal harm. Have you ever seen flying horses? I give you one such possibility. This cloven-hoofed animal was saved with the help of a helicopter and the whole fire brigade. These shots show filmed fireworks, which will not bring joy to anybody. Take a look. This is the most fearless man in the world. How much courage and nerves does he need to repair wire at this height and without insurance and a partner? Personally, I've never seen anything like this before. What's that? Is this a new type of towing or an attempt to save on fuel, but at the same time take a larger number of passengers? There's nothing unusual here, just someone returned home on their own plane and even landed it in their yard. There was very little space for the ambulance helicopter to take off, but fortunately, everything was done perfectly. It was simply cool. Just look at how the so-called Nighthawk or F-117 attack aircraft takes off and flies with two other fighters. It looks spectacular. This aircraft throws out a huge amount of flame from the exhaust pipes during engine start, but from the outside, the spectacle looks even more astonishing. This fighter is ready to take off. Here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1, let's fly! What could be more interesting than watching one winged bird take off directly from the roof of another? Moreover, when it happens at a considerable height. It's even scary to imagine what kind of adrenaline the pilot experienced during this flight. The F-117s are perfectly synced, and I want to confess that this spectacle is fascinating. I would like to highlight the high professionalism of the pilots who are able to fly so low above the ground. We need to show them some respect. And now you can see how one brave person can risk his car and his life. There are rumors that the video is not real. In Switzerland, this carrier-based fighter bomber called Super Hornet needs to cross a public road to enter a hangar. During a flight at an altitude of 10,000 meters, you need to be really cool-headed when lightning hits the cockpit. Taking off into the fog is not an easy task, but experienced pilots cope with it, even when passengers think they're still flying straight into Silent Hill. This is the way planes extinguish forest fires. To achieve maximum effect, a large aircraft must pass over the fire at an extremely low altitude. This couple looks like a parent with their tired child in their arms. By doing so, the Boeing 747 transported a space shuttle on itself. The pilot of this light engine aircraft demonstrated his skills by gracefully flying through the trees. Currently, air refueling is used only on military transport aircraft, and we have to admit it looks very impressive. At the same time, refueling in flight is considered a dangerous and complex process. Experienced pilots of the Antonov Tu-25, largest aircraft in the world, masterfully land it despite the crosswind. There is no room for error here. Pilots need to have time to gain enough speed to take off from such a short runway. During takeoff, the plane collided with a strong gust of wind, which almost caused an emergency landing. The weight of the Airbus 380 is 280 tons, and it is difficult to even imagine what effort it was worth to land it without structural damage in a strong crosswind. It was too close. It was too close.
Unique footage of the landing in Antarctica. As for me, it's pretty picturesque and comfortable, but this is of course a look from the other side of the screen. Suddenly, an unidentified flying object got in the way of the plane. It looks very cute. I would even say picturesque. You definitely haven't seen it from that angle side yet. What a flight looks like through the eyes of a cargo dropped from an airplane. Well, or if the parachutist looked up. Unusual Pursuit was filmed by one driver. On this calm road, he hardly expected to meet anyone at all, let alone an airplane. There is an attempt by a teenager to steal a plane, not get successful. Neither he did not figure out how to manage this transport after all, nor the wind was against it. The unusual spectacle was captured when the plane cut through the thick fog. Also, he got hit by lightning. It's not an easy job to fly an airplane. Desperate guys who have a lot of confidence in the crew. After all, if you think for a second that something could go wrong, then the spectacle would not be so exciting. Something you won't see from the cabin of airplane. A few technical points and how aviation professionals deal with these subtleties. Well-coordinated work in pairs. And not only a plane, a helicopter should look exactly like this. The right distance, pace, and everyone is comfortable and cool from this. An amazing mix of euphoria, fear, and inspiration. The pilot is definitely held in high esteem by his superiors. Otherwise, he would not have been entrusted with such maneuvers over an airfield full of other aircraft. It is double luck for aviation enthusiasts. Such an opportunity to watch the plane seems to be within easy reach, also in 2 passes. At the same time, the third chassis was not invented in vain, apparently just for such cases, when the pilot overdid it and the landing turned out to be harsh. Only those with nerves of steel can voluntarily witness such a rise. Well, let's assume that the camera at the end was shaking from the airflow and not from fear. You can look at this forever. It's like an airplane therapy. It's amazing how such a huge machine creates such weightlessness and graceful silhouettes after itself. Sometimes childhood dreams about the ability to fly are so strong, there is simply nothing left but to become a first-class pilot and make it true. I think such a low flight will not cause any feelings, even only among experienced ones. Neither fear from close proximity nor breathtaking from a powerful airflow. Irrigating the fields. This pilot decided not to waste time and test his professional skills. As it turned out, there was nothing to worry about. The man was perfectly fine. What a turnaround! We've all seen many moments when helicopters were used to transport other vehicles, evacuate people, and even animals. But what about another helicopter? Not the most common sighting, but it happens too, as you can see. Sometimes even a seaplane can be overpowered by water, as it was in this case. The contact was too hard. It had to be softer or something. It turns out that the converter is such a powerful thing that when it takes off, it literally rips everything underneath it out of the ground. It looks very epic and intimidating. No comparison to the helicopter. A situation that could have ended very sadly had the pilot of the landing plane not navigated the situation in time. These things don't happen very often. But in this particular case, someone clearly didn't agree with someone. The pilot of the plane in this video apparently decided to ruin his own nerves and those of other people, making this risky flight right between the buildings of the city. The 6 engineers in this video were repairing part of the runway, but they apparently didn't know that the runway wasn't closed and planes could still fly on it, which is what happened. The plane could have landed by now, but the pilot paused competently and had already flown through them and landed safely for everyone. This incident happened already in Australia, when the military Boeing flew in a fairly low altitude, very close to skyscrapers, for which he was later heavily criticized by the public. Fortunately, everyone was unharmed, and the overflight of the new transport was a success. The helicopter pilot had a very difficult task. He had to land the car on a warship in the middle of the sea, but he clearly knows his job well and coped with the task without any problems. If everyone takes car collisions on the road as commonplace, but airplane collisions in the sky are a rarity. There is so much space. Don't they have enough room? Fortunately, in this case, it was all right, but it was pretty close. If they tell you that being a pilot is easy, don't believe them by any means. Look at the conditions they have to land a plane in bad weather. You can't see anything, but they still manage.
Minimums.
There has been snow and water before, but ice is something new. Visually, it seems to be pretty cool, but it's not very convenient to break. It makes you want to fly right over the volcano to see how everything is stirred up there, but at the same time, you don't want to be in the right place at the right time, when the lava urgently needs a powerful release. No, the helicopter did not decide to ride the waves. This is what an emergency landing looks like. Now he needs help to get dry from the water. Look, stay still. That who is result-oriented. The photos must get some kind of award for such an effort. This is how one helicopter colored a day for hundreds of tourists who would still lazily bask in the sun. But such a spectacle could not be ignored, and at the same time, the whole beach cheered up. If you think that the movement of a helicopter is rather monotonous and limited, as you can see, you are too wrong. You can't expect anything, unless, of course, an experienced pilot is at the helm. The pilot provided the guys with an adrenaline rush for several years to come, and give some video content, so now these are definitely local stars. The flight ended in an unscheduled landing. Well, there will be moto for the pilot and his eye. Wires are no joke. The sudden slip-through principle will not work there.